top 10 venues Bob Dylan performed at when he first got to New York. Number 10. The Folklore Center. The Folklore Center, located at 110 McDougal Street, was more than just a music shop. It was the heartbeat of the Greenwich Village folk scene. Run by Izzy Young, the center was a haven for budding musicians, historians, and fans of folk music. Dylan spent countless hours here soaking up knowledge from the extensive collection of records, books, and folk publications. It was a place where he met other artists, including Pete Seeger and Gene Ritchie, who influenced his early work. Izzy Young would later organize Dylan's first major concert at Carnegie Chapter Hall in 1961. Dylan often played new songs informally for whoever was around, using the center as a kind of workshop. Though it wasn't a performance venue, the Folklore Center was instrumental in shaping Dylan's early career. Number 9. The White Horse Tavern. Located at 567 Hudson Street, the White Horse Tavern was a favorite hangout for Dylan during his early New York days. Known for its literary history, it attracted figures like poet Allen Ginsberg, Phil Ochs, and Ramblin' Jack Elliott. Dylan was drawn to its connection to Dylan Thomas, whose name he famously adopted. After performing at venues like the Gaslight, he would often join fellow musicians here for drinks and conversations about politics and art. The tavern's manager, Vasily Vasileu, encouraged its reputation as a gathering spot for intellectuals and creatives. For Dylan, it wasn't a place to perform, but a source of inspiration and camaraderie. Its bohemian atmosphere reflected the counterculture spirit that defined the village and influenced his early music. Number 8. The Café Wa. The Café Wa, located at 115 McDougal Street, was one of the first places Dylan performed after arriving in New York. Owned by Manny Roth, the club was known for its eclectic mix of acts including musicians, comedians, and poets. Dylan auditioned here shortly after arriving in 1961 and impressed Roth enough to secure a regular gig. He played covers of Woody Guthrie songs and folk standards, learning how to captivate an audience in a lively, chaotic setting. Dylan shared the stage with artists like David Blue and Fred Neil, who helped shape his style. The intimate atmosphere allowed Dylan to experiment and refine his craft in front of an appreciative crowd. Café Wa remains an iconic part of Greenwich Village history, inextricably tied to Dylan's early days. Number 7. The Bitter End. Located at 147 Bleecker Street, the Bitter End was a cornerstone of the Greenwich Village folk scene. Dylan performed here during his rise, sharing the stage with artists like Tom Paxton and Joan Baez. The venue was known for its attentive audiences, which suited Dylan's storytelling style and allowed his lyrics to shine. His sets often included folk standards alongside his burgeoning original material, such as early versions of Song to Woody. The Bitter End was also a place where Dylan connected with key figures in the music industry, including manager Albert Grossman. The venue's dedication to showcasing new talent made it a crucial stepping stone in Dylan's career. Its intimate setting helped solidify his reputation as one of the most compelling performers of the folk revival. Number 6. The Village Gate. The Village Gate at 160 Bleecker Street was a critical venue for Bob Dylan in his early career. Owned by Art DeLugoff, the club was a hub for rising folk artists, and Dylan often performed there alongside legends like John Lee Hooker. It was at the Village Gate that Dylan began showcasing his original material, such as Hard Rain and Don't Think Twice, It's All Right, to attentive crowds. The intimate setting allowed him to experiment with his delivery and develop his now iconic stage presence. Folk scene mentors like Dave Van Ronk would sometimes watch from the audience, offering advice and support. The Village Gate became a space where Dylan could take risks and refine the artistry that would soon capture the world's attention. Number 5. Gerde's Folk City. Gerde's Folk City, originally located at 11 West 4th Street, was one of the most important venues in Dylan's early career. He made his debut there in April 1961, opening for John Lee Hooker. This performance caught the attention of music critic Robert Shelton, whose glowing review in the New York Times helped launch Dylan's career. Gerde's was a proving ground for folk musicians, hosting legends like Joan Baez, Richie Havens, and Odetta. Dylan performed regularly at Gerde's, honing his stage presence and gaining a loyal following. It was also where he first played Blowin' in the Wind, testing it out before it became a civil rights anthem. Gerde's Folk City was more than a venue, it was a launchpad for Dylan's rise to fame. Number 4. The Kettle of Fish. Located near McDougal Street, the Kettle of Fish was a favorite hangout for musicians and writers. Dylan spent many evenings here after performing at nearby venues, sharing drinks and ideas with fellow artists. The bar was frequented by the likes of Dave Van Ronk, who was an early mentor to Dylan and a pivotal figure in the folk scene. Dylan often exchanged songs and stories with Van Ronk, learning about traditional folk and blues. The Kettle of Fish wasn't a performance venue but a creative space where the camaraderie of the village thrived. Dylan's time here helped him forge connections and deepen his understanding of the music that shaped him. The bar's legacy as a hub for Greenwich Village culture remains tied to its role in Dylan's early years. Number 3. Washington Square Park. Washington Square Park was the epicenter of the Greenwich Village folk scene, where musicians gathered every Sunday for jam sessions. Dylan was a regular here, playing folk standards alongside rising stars like Judy Collins and Eric Anderson. The park was an open space for experimentation, allowing Dylan to showcase his harmonica skills and build confidence as a performer. It was here that he absorbed the folk traditions and social activism that became central to his music. Dylan often drew inspiration from the park's mix of artists, activists, and everyday New Yorkers. The informal performances gave him a chance to connect directly with audiences and refine his craft. Washington Square Park remains a symbol of the folk revival, with Dylan's presence still felt in its history. Number 2. Carnegie Chapter Hall. On November 4, 1961, Dylan performed his first major concert at Carnegie Chapter Hall, a small venue within the Carnegie Hall complex. Organized by Izzy Young of the Folklore Center, the concert drew an intimate crowd of around 50 people. The setlist featured traditional folk songs alongside Dylan's early originals, showcasing his talent as both a performer and songwriter. Though the audience was small, it included influential figures who helped propel Dylan's career forward. This concert marked Dylan's transition from a local favorite in the village to a rising star in the broader folk scene. It was a pivotal moment that demonstrated his potential to captivate larger audiences. Carnegie Chapter Hall remains a landmark in Dylan's journey to becoming a cultural icon. Number 1. The Gaslight Cafe. The Gaslight Cafe, located at 116 McDougal Street, was Dylan's home base in his early New York years. This basement venue was legendary for its intimate atmosphere and dedication to showcasing folk talent. Dylan performed here regularly, sharing the stage with artists like Dave Van Ronk, Tom Paxton, and Len Chandler. It was at the Gaslight that Dylan first played early versions of songs like Masters of War and A Hard Rain's Are Gonna Fall. The small room allowed him to connect deeply with audiences, earning him a reputation as a magnetic performer. The Gaslight was also where Dylan met key figures like Albert Grossman, who would become his manager. For many, the Gaslight Cafe is where Dylan truly became Dylan.
Put your comments in the description box and hit the subscribe button for more music history.